cast. We are going to be covering a few different topics from the week and talk about some of those. I'm Adam. As always, I'm joined with Junior. Junior, are you ready?
Let's go.
So, Junior, this past week, I know the last couple of casts we haven't had. So, Junior, the last couple of casts, we struggled a little bit for some good news stories, but this past week was very, very, very exciting for a lot of different topics. So we're going to touch on some of those, a lot of sports things happening. So this is a bit of a sports heavy, but this is kind of what the summer is all about. This is where all the good things kind of come together. Let's start off with Richard Branson and Virgin Galactic. So they went up to space. I guess the first kind of maiden voyage in space for, public and people across the world. This happened on Sunday. And they came back down and then basically stated that they're going to be releasing $500 million in shares, which it seemed like the stock price had surged quite a bit prior to liftoff, but now it's tapered off a little bit. What do you think about that?
Hey, you start off with a record label, you build a mobile company, you get into all kinds of other stuff, air travel, aviation.
Music, lots of music.
So what's next? Go to space. He looks like a kid in a candy shop on that, that near space jet that they were on. I mean, they were kind of in that first layer, but it's still space.
Zero gravity, right?
Yeah, and you're zero gravity and you're way the hell up there. And, it was a dream of his. So, that's the great thing about when you're a billionaire is you can just start doing the things that you always dreamed of as a kid. Pretty cool feeling, it really... when you start to think about it, commercialized space travel and how
space tourism market, can you believe that tourism is now going beyond the planet Earth?
So it's kind of nuts what we're kind of headed in the next, I'd say 10 to 15 years, maybe before it gets really, really big.
Absolutely.
You might as well get in one of these companies on the ground floor and start advertising on the rockets, or, get your name stitched into the leather on the seats or something, because I think if it's affordable, it's going to be absolutely massive.
There's nowhere to go but up.
Hey, yeah, that's
here he is himself, Mr. Branson, Mr. $1 billion boy. It's quite a journey for him. What a historic, life this guy's already had and. I think he's even still hitting another stride in another gear. So it's going to be interesting to see what he's got next after this. But there's a few other people that are interested in going to space, including Mr. Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos of Amazon. So
Elon's not just about space. He wants to go to Mars. So he
wants to live on Mars.
Yeah, he's a little bit of a different animal.
He's using it as a backup plan, an exit strategy for planet Earth when we burn this place down. The Euro Cup, we covered extensively on multiple shows. We provided some really great betting, tips and some guidance there. I think our clip was pretty high, especially with draws and both teams to score. That seemed like a bet you could have rode almost every match this tournament. Italy obviously won this tournament in penalty kicks, and that was a 1-1, penalty kick win for Italy, who's continued their undefeated streak for, I think it's 35, 36 plus games now at this point. So obviously a tough beat for England. Everybody expected this to come home when it went to Rome. So what did you think about the Euro Cup tournament and this final and ultimately Italy winning?
You know what? The tourney started off with a bang with what happened with Christian Eriksen. Thank God he's healthy and kind of up and about now. We weren't short of any upsets. The heavy favorites were gone early in the knockouts.
France being the big one. There were some surprise teams for some people. I didn't have a whole lot of surprises with what was happening. If you followed our Euro coverage, you could see that we were very heavily on the Swiss actually upending them, and we had a bunch of those upsets. But I think it was an absolutely phenomenal tournament. The one thing I will say that I always take as a negative from these tournaments is when they get down to two kicks.
I don't think a championship game should be decided by PKs or kicks. I don't think it should. It should go to golden goal. The best team should always win. Kicks, they're 50-50. Now, I'm not going to say that Italy still wouldn't have won that game, but I think the kicks, when you're trying to decide a trophy, and this goes for all sports, you don't want to see hockey go into a sudden death shootout. You don't want to see that. It doesn't. Like, you have to score. You got to score to win. And even in the World Cup, it goes golden goal. It doesn't go to kicks. It goes to golden goal until someone scores. So I'd like to see the Euro adopt something like that, just so there's more of an understanding going to it.
I couldn't agree more. Tournament. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. That's
and congrats to Italy on the win.
Yeah, big win for the Azzurri. I couldn't agree more. It's, you spend 90 plus, 120 plus minutes playing this game, and then you kind of don't play that game to win the championship, right? And it just doesn't. I get it during the regular season when you look at not really basketball, but hockey and stuff like that. Another story here was Rashford, Sancho, and Saka, becoming the scapegoats. Because that missed kind of a racial undertones here. Obviously, we've talked about this extensively across all those different sports that we see or hear these stories about, and this is just really, really upsetting to hear at this time. I really at any time, but this tournament brought a lot of people together, kind of brought some community sense kind of back in, culturally and whatnot, and
for sure
to kind of see these things happen. I mean, this wouldn't have been a storyline if they had won.
Yeah, but they didn't, and unfortunately, I think what happens is people start to try and figure out why they didn't win. I don't blame anything on Saka, Sancho, or Rashford. I blame the tactics of Southgate. He did not play that game properly. He played himself. Substitutions were way too late. I don't think he had the right starting lineup to begin. But regardless, when you look at Saka, this kid is 19 years old, who came in with a minute left and extra time, didn't touch the ball, and was asked to kick a penalty, the most important penalty in English football history. Not just a penalty, the most important one. And people got on him about it. He's a kid. He's 19. He's going to wear that like a crown of thorns for the rest of his career. Whether there's still glory to come or there isn't, that will be a heavy head wearing that crown. And I think the racial stuff is a lack of intelligence, a lack of class, and you would expect a lot more from the British community as a whole. But unfortunately, in every community across the world, there are some bad apples that will ruin things. And, unfortunately, it's like this momentous occasion where a team wins the Euro Cup and there's a huge celebration, and we're coming out of a pandemic and we're getting a major tournament and everyone's just happy and singing, and then this happens. So it goes to show that there are people who maybe should be quarantined for another year so they can get their act right.
Couldn't agree more. I mean, there's no place in anything, certainly not sports, but in any part of society for this kind of stuff. Enough is enough, and we're getting tired of talking about it. I'm sure a lot of people are getting tired of talking about that stuff, but we got to speak about these items because it's important to create this change however we can, if we can move the dial even the slightest. Okay, moving along here, eBay. We have a card show called Cardboard Cutouts. If you enjoy sports collecting and card collecting specifically, we ask that you consider subscribing to the channel to check that out. eBay is in the news with $871 million worth of sports cards sold in Q1.
Insane.
I mean, that's almost $1 billion. It's not almost. I mean, it's still far off, but it kind of feels like $1 billion. And if you look at kind of what the trajectory is likely for the remainder of the year, I mean, these guys are going to do $2 or $3 billion in card sales, easy.
Probably. And the industry as a whole, the hobby industry, with getting cards out, it's still tough to find them, and the price of them is going up and up and up, and people are putting significant investments into getting boxes to open them. And what's the quickest way to get rid of cards? Sell them on eBay. Even if you're, selling a card for 50 cents or $1, there's going to be someone out there that wants it. You might end up just having this cardboard sitting in a closet somewhere in your house collecting dust. Whip it out, sell it raw, all the time. And you can make a couple of bucks off it. I've used eBay extensively for getting rid of some of my cards. I'm not getting rid of them, but selling them for a profit, obviously. And it's easy. The transactions are very simple. You get paid. The money's held until you send the shipment off, and then they release your money, and the person gives you feedback, whether it's good or bad. And it's super simple, super easy. So, I think the one thing that eBay did do is they transferred out of the PayPal realm, and they're starting to monitor their own payment system, because PayPal would hold on to it until the person received the package and marked in eBay that they received the package. So sometimes these transactions could take 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and it slowed business up, because a lot of guys say, okay, I'm going to sell this lot, and then once I sell this lot, I'm going to move on to this lot, but you can't do anything until everything's done up here. So I think the members of eBay went to eBay and said, listen, this has got to change because this isn't working. And eBay's listening, because at the end of the day, they're making money off of this. So
my goodness.
I'm sure they're happy that it was at $871 million in Q1.
Yes. So I looked up the stock price about 6 months ago. So that kind of getting us back to that Q1 space. They're up 13% from 6 months ago, eBay stock. So eBay is doing very, very well. Definitely a pain point with the payment stuff with PayPal. So, kudos to them for taking that action. If you're interested in selling on eBay, we have on our last cardboard cutouts, we talked about PSA prep, and PSA having your card graded properly and selling that on eBay is going to make it a much easier and likely a more lucrative sale for you. So consider checking out that video and learning a bit about that. Kudos to eBay, though. I mean, this is the space to sell cards worldwide, and they're doing a fantastic job. So kudos to eBay, and we got some beautiful cards here. Check us out on Cardboard Cutouts next week, and we may have some really, really big news if we can tie up a few loose ends in the next couple of days. So follow us on our Instagram account for some more information updates on that.
Big news, you say?
Big news, big news. If we can make it happen, we're trying to do something very, very special for the card collecting community. So stay tuned. And we're going to see what we can do to help everybody out and do something a little bit fun this summer. So the Home Run Derby, Mr. Pete Alonso, going back to back. I pulled up this really, really, really interesting thing, which is I didn't realize he, he's only been with the Mets, for 2.5 seasons or whatever. But while he's been with the Mets, he's earned $2.08 million in salary from the Mets. How much do you think he's earned in the Home Run Derby?
He's gone back to back, so make that $4 million.
So he made $2 million just from the Home Run Derby for going back to back. So I guess it's $1 million for a win, which I didn't even realize that they had paid that. So that's kind of a really, really cool thing. But it's interesting that he's almost making the same, just hitting home runs in the Derby instead of paying 100. Well, not 162 games. I guess it would be this year, but not last year.
Yeah.
So what did you think about the Home Run Derby? I know we were kind of watching Shohei live, but it just kind of didn't happen for him, unfortunately, getting knocked out by Soto.
The one thing that you have to watch now from all these people who have gone into this contest is their home run numbers after the All-Star break.
We talked about it with Vladdy that we didn't want him to be in there.
Didn't want him in there, and thankfully he wasn't in there, so nothing's messing with his swing. But when you start getting into a realm where you're going to be hitting 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 balls, and your only purpose is to hit them as far as possible, and you start reaching on things and you're changing your approach, and it might be your foot's going up a little bit more. Yeah, and what happens is it messes with your head up here. It messes with your timing. And, there was 1 year I remember with Vernon Wells. He was on fire. I think he had 22 at the break. He went into the All-Star. He went into the Derby. He hit 1 home run in the Derby, and then he hit 3 the rest of the year. So I think there's some people will take this like a Soto, who's had a bit of a quiet front end of the year. I would look at what he did, and I'd say he's probably going to start trajectory, like his numbers are going to go up. Pete Alonso last year, his numbers didn't really fly. They didn't go through the roof. They were just kind of steady. He didn't win the home run race in the National League at the end of the year. So, I like it. I like the cameras. I like the angle. I like the stories. I watched an interview with Pedro Martinez, who happens to be Vladdy Jr.'s godfather, and he was telling some stories about how he's a little chubby kid, and you know, if you wanted to go do something, all you had to do was feed him, and you can go hang out in the pool and drink, and the kid's inside eating because he just loved to eat. So it was kind of nice to see a human aspect to some of these guys too, right?
Well, big news for Vladdy. On June 12th, he was named to the Team Jordan brand. So huge congratulations. Obviously, he's been rocking some Jordans, for quite some time now. Mm-hmm. So it's nice to see him officially, brought on to Jordan brand and the team there, as a lot of very, very high level athletes end up either at Nike, but really when there's somebody special, they end up at Jordan most of the time. So congratulations to Vlad for that. 100%. Be interesting to see if they end up coming out with real, like a player edition exclusive or something cool in terms of cleats. Jordan's been branching out in some of those spaces a little bit more lately, and I like to see it.
Maybe even just like a retro Jordan 1 red, white, and blue with the Jays logo on the tongue. Like that'd be something. That'd be pretty cool.
That would be incredible, and something you definitely want to pick up. So congrats to Vlad for that. There is an underlying piece here that we wanted to touch on as well, which was comments made by Stephen A. Smith. So I don't think it helps that the number one face is a dude that needs an interpreter so you can understand what the hell he's saying in this country. Now, we know Stephen A. to be an outspoken person. I don't, know for sure or can speculate if this was, an intended type of attitude. He's already come out with an apology, but what are your thoughts on Stephen A. here?
There's three people in this world who I don't want to hear anything from, like nothing. I don't want to hear you talk politics. I don't want to hear you talk about race. I don't want to hear you talk about the market. I don't want to hear you talk finances. I don't want to hear you talk about nothing. Number one is LeBron James. Number two is Michael Rappaport, who I cannot stand. He's an absolute flea bag of a human being.
I had a moment where I enjoyed him, but he's taking it too far.
And the third guy is Stephen A. Smith. In a world right now where race is a huge issue, you got to come out and say some stuff like this. And I'm sorry, read it again, but that has racist undertones.
Do you think, though, that this is do you think it's possible that he got caught up in his own personality? He's not just on First Take now. He's on multiple shows. He's all over you see him literally on PJ private jets all the time, going from thing to thing. He has this shtick. He has this persona about him. Is it possible that he got caught up in his own head with that persona? Maybe he didn't mean to say something like this. I'm not trying to defend him. I'm just asking the question.
The one thing I will say is, regardless of the fact that I don't want to hear anything come out of his mouth, Stephen A. Smith is an intelligent person.
Yes.
He knows he is walking, talking clickbait. That's what he is.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that's the whole point, right?
Yeah. But come out and say something about him. Because I'll tell you one thing. Shohei Ohtani speaks very good English.
He actually does speak
chooses
very good
not to.
And I think part of that is because he wants to express himself in the fullest, right?
Exactly.
There's some things that just don't translate regardless of what language that you're...
And I'm sure he knew it. I'm sure Stephen A. Smith knew that Shohei Ohtani could speak English.
Yeah.
And whether this is clickbait or whatever, you just don't say stuff like this. Because I'll tell you, in sports, there are very few things that don't matter. Very few. And one of them is the color of your skin. Does not matter what the color of your skin is. It does not dictate what sport you can and can't play. And in 2021, if we don't have the ability to get past that, then scorch it. Scorch it and let's start over. Because it's absolutely ridiculous that this is still going on right now. The kid's talented. Okay, he's Japanese, and he chooses not to speak. So are you going to fault a boxer from Mexico who fights in Las Vegas and refuses to speak English but speaks his mother tongue so he can communicate to the people of his country
Yeah.
Are you going to make something about that?
Of course not. Of course not.
You're not. So
Ridiculous.
you got to know where the lines are. You want clickbait, but you have to phrase that a bit differently because that doesn't come off good.
Do you think there'll be there'll be ramifications in terms of
absolutely
career?
has to be.
You think he'll get fired from one of these shows or both?
Has to be. Something has to happen to this because if that was Max Kellerman saying that,
he would have been gone already.
Banished. His career would be over. So why is the same not true for Stephen A. Smith?
Stephen A. I mean, he puts his foot in his mouth a lot, and this was one that he couldn't have afforded to kind of put his foot in his mouth here.
Not now.
Got to be careful
not
with
today.
this stuff.
10 years ago, maybe.
I mean,
today,
never. It's never acceptable, no. But I mean, I understand that everything evolves, right?
Yeah.
Okay, UFC 264. I mean, the real highlight here is, the big news story here is Conor. There are a couple underlying stories that we're going to touch on as well, but Conor lost in the first round due to technical knockout stoppage from medical stoppage after breaking his tibia and fibula.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sorry, left fibula and tibia. So it was a first-round medical stoppage. He proceeded to berate Dustin Poirier as if he almost had won the fight. The amount of trash talk that came out of Conor's mouth was absolutely unreal.
Mm-hmm.
Going on first round, thoughts, and then we'll talk about some of the. This is your guy, man.
Okay, number one. I didn't hear exactly everything he had to say. I didn't hear everything. I heard something about your boyfriend was in my DMs. That I heard.
I think you said his wife was in my DMs.
I heard boyfriend. I heard boyfriend. So I don't know. I heard your boyfriend's in my DMs. I heard that. The wife stuff,
okay.
Didn't hear. Regardless, but I'll tell you this. He doesn't want to go away. So a man who does not want to go away does not stop. Yeah. Now, this is just my thought process on this. Dustin Poirier did not win that fight. He won the first round.
Didn't win it. Okay.
Didn't win the fight. That is not a professional record number that goes up. That was a doctor stoppage because of a broken leg. That's not a win.
I mean,
it's not a win. At the end of the day,
if I block a punch from somebody and they break their arm and the fight ends, I mean, I defended myself to the point where it almost became an offensive attack. If
a doctor comes in and says this fight cannot go on because this man's leg is broken,
so are you thinking that Conor was going to get up and fight?
if his leg didn't break, the round was over. The round was over, right?
Sure.
The bell had rung.
He would have had to have forfeit if that doctor didn't stop it.
Up here was fine.
Yeah.
So you want to give him an asterisk or a KO, TKO, whatever. I don't give.
I give him the win. I don't know. There's no way around that for me. If I knock you out, it's because of whatever the case.
It's not a knockdown. It's not a knockout. That's not a TKO, which is a technical knockout. So you can't throw those terms around because that does not apply to this.
Fair. It's not a technical knockout.
It was a medical stoppage. At the end of the day, medical stoppage. If you want to still give him the win on it, go ahead. Give him the win.
Gotta give him the win.
This is not over by any stretch of the imagination.
So you think they're going to fight again?
There will be another fight.
So let's do this. So this is the Ronda Rousey. Ronda Rousey put out a tweet saying that I'm amazed that as soon as you hit the ground, you were already promoting the next fight. Mm-hmm. And then tags at the Notorious MMA. I would have had to or have had the mind to do that. The other fighters at UFC and media are lucky to have you. So she came out kind of in some praise. And you know what? It makes total sense. Conor is a master marketer of his brand. He turned Proper 12 into, that wasn't his full share, but $600 million company.
Who else in that company does what he does?
Nobody. And I mean, that's exactly why that Dustin Poirier didn't take a title fight, which he could have had.
Because he wants the money.
Because it's going to draw more money.
Apologies for the technical difficulties. Bit of a issue with networking. We'll hopefully be back in a short time. I will say this though. The rest of that card was great. I think the Sugar Shane fight was absolutely phenomenal. I think that it was a great event overall, but I really see them needing to do something big the next fight, because without Connor in there for 6-8 a year, they're going to need to do some job stepping it up. But we'll definitely see kind of where things go from there. But again, apologies on that delay. We should be back momentarily.
Okay, we're back. A little bit of technical difficulties there. We apologize if you guys got caught up in that little glitch there. Sorry, Junior, I switched it over here to the spelling bee.
Yeah.
Zaila? Avant-garde?
Zayla?
Zayla? Okay, I'll go with you because you have the better.
How about this?
Skills.
Champion.
So first African-American to win a spelling bee, although what I actually find almost a little bit more interesting is that she's quite the baller.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen these videos?
Yeah.
This girl has a nice little jumper.
She's multi-talented.
Yeah, no, she did a fantastic job. Really great. Congratulations to her. It's kind of funny. There was a moment in time, a few years back, maybe seems probably a lot longer now, but where the spelling bee was pretty popular. You'd see it on TSN and stuff, it was real big thing.
There was a lot of heavy action on those too.
I bet there was. Was there actually? Can you bet on these things?
There was a time where there was an active board where you could place some wagers on who was going to win.
Unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's spelling bees. For the spelling bee and for the community there. Tampa Bay Lightning. So they beat the Canadiens last Wednesday 4-1 to win the Stanley Cup, going back to back. But they're not very respectful with the cup. Now, are they, Junior? I mean, this is the nicest cup in history, I think. I would say probably this is the most historic of all trophies.
Outside the Grey Cup, it's the second oldest trophy in professional sports. So you can imagine with the age of it, it's seen
kind of a shame though. The Grey Cup is number one. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, well, it's the oldest.
Football?
Yeah, it's the oldest professional sports league in the world.
Oh my God.
But funny enough to say, so the Stanley Cup, taking care of it. Let's just say that these aren't the types of guys that are going to take care of it. These are farm boys, guys that are just knuckle dragging, just animals. So let's kind of take a rewind into the past. It's 1906.
Okay.
The Montreal Wanderers have just won the Stanley Cup. This was the Canadiens before they were the Canadiens. They went into a professional photographer studio in downtown Montreal with the Stanley Cup because they wanted a nice professional team photo with the cup. Well, little did they know, they actually ended up leaving the cup at the studio of this photographer. The photographer had no idea what it was, so she decided to plant geraniums in it. So for a year, she was growing plants inside the bowl of the Stanley Cup. 1924, the Habs had a flat tire driving to a party. They get out, they change the tire, they drive to the party, and then realize that they left the Stanley Cup at the side of the road. So they had to go back and get it. This thing has been drop-kicked into the Rideau Canal. It's been dropped into the St. Lawrence River. It's been set on fire several times.
Wow.
Including by the Leafs in 1962. And then in, I think it was 1926 or 1942, the Rangers won it. And they lit the mortgage of the Madison Square Garden on fire in the bowl because the Stanley Cup win allowed them to pay off the mortgage of Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
It's been urinated in, crapped in, drank from, A kid's been baptized in it. It's been thrown from rooftops. It's been dropped so many times. In fact, Guy Carbonneau, when he was with the Dallas Stars in 1999, decided it would be a great idea to try and throw it off the roof of whose house was it? It's someone's house, and try to get into the pool. That trophy, if you've ever had it in your hands, is extremely heavy. So to think that you're going to throw it from a roof into a pool, needless to say, it did not make it into the pool and hit the deck. And substantial damage has been caused to this. There's actually even a great story about a couple of kids who found the cup in their dad's basement and decided to take a nail and etch their own names.
Oh my God!
On one of the rings. So this is a trophy that has so much story, so many ghosts, so much past to it, and I think that lends into why this is the most beautiful trophy ever, because it's gone through this. It's been to the depths of the deepest waters in Canada. It has swam in oceans. It's been dropped to the bottom of swimming pools. It has seen it all. So I think that's kind of what you're expected to do with it. It's just beat it up a little bit,
Yeah, add your patina to it, right?
Exactly. Leave your mark.
I was wondering if maybe it was like a Florida, Tampa Bay thing, because I know people go a little wild down to Tampa Bay.
Florida man drops cup and bends.
I'm going back to the Buccaneers win too, where you got Brady out there who's lit, like just absolutely lit, and he's tossing the Vince Lombardi trophy off of one boat onto another. Listen, the guy's the best quarterback to ever play the game for me.
Yeah.
Definitely in the conversation for best football player, period. But to throw the Vince Lombardi trophy off of a boat to another boat?
Now, he did it. He got there. He did. Did you see the Twitter comment from the Stanley Cup when Tampa Bay won it?
No, I didn't.
It literally said, from the Stanley Cup to Tom Brady, T. Brady 13, I'm too heavy to throw, so please don't try. And Brady responded, nothing's heavy when you're drinking tequila. And I'm like, oh my God, this guy's going to get his hands on it. And he's probably the dude that broke it.
So the cup is, I believe, on its way to Montreal right now for repairs.
It's in Montreal.
Or it's there now.
Yeah.
So it's there for repairs. And then I imagine that it'll be back in Tampa Bay's hands and possibly back in Montreal a couple weeks later.
Probably.
Okay, let's move along here to USA basketball. So these guys took it on the chin to a couple of teams that they should have easily beat with a super all-star studded lineup that the USA has. They lost to Nigeria. They lost to Australia, where Joe Ingles was lighting it up. And then they won today against Argentina. We looked it up because we weren't sure why they were playing, considering the Olympics start in about, 12, 13 days?
11 days. On the 24th, I think.
So they're playing just as kind of like a warm-up tournament.
A tune-up.
Okay. So do you imagine that they're going to have obstacles in the Olympics against some of these other international teams? I realize they beat Argentina. We talked about this off-screen. South America doesn't typically historically put out the best basketball talent as compared to other continents or countries across the world. But what do you think about their chances to win the Olympic Games?
When you look at the greatest teams of all time, doesn't matter the sport or whatever it was, the one thing you don't do is allow people to think that they can beat you. So the thing with USA basketball is everyone assumes that once the Olympics start that it's over. You're not going to win. They've only lost 2 exhibition games since they formed Team USA.
Yep.
But now you've lost back-to-back games against 2 countries who are in the Olympics with you. Now, I looked at the rest of the competition in the Olympics. Not that great. Obviously, would have liked to have seen Canada there, but the competition's not that great.
We hope.
But what you've done is Nigeria and Australia have let every one of the teams in this tournament know that there's a chance.
Yeah.
So they're going to get up. They're going to eat breakfast. They're going to put up more shots. They're going to practice harder. They're going to push themselves farther with the understanding that there is an opportunity to beat Team USA. So it's going to hurt them definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I expect them to do a lot better. I mean, they got Popovich at the helm. just an elite coach at every level. I'm sure he'll make his adjustments, and maybe it was just kind of a tune-up thing with these guys. But these guys should get rolling and easily walk away with the gold. Anything less than gold for this team is a disgrace.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you also have to remember sometimes with these teams, like you look at some of the super teams that have been built in the NBA. Sometimes they just don't gel. Sometimes
this should be like a pickup game for them, though. This should be like Black Ops basketball in New York City with Chris.
Sometimes they just don't mesh well. The games are too different, and you've got a lot of egos on this team. None bigger than Kevin Durant, but there's a lot of egos on this team, and sometimes the Eagles need to feed over team wins. So it'll be interesting to see. I think if they lose, then everyone who was talking crap about Canada not making it can shut up, because that's pretty sad.
Yeah,
if this team doesn't win gold.
Okay. Speaking of Olympics, this brings us right in. So, Olympic organizers are banning all spectators from the games this year after Japan declared a state of emergency. That's meant to curb a wave of new COVID infections. So this is obviously pretty devastating for the Olympics. I mean, you want to play, especially when you're representing your country. I mean, you need fans. This is what it's all about. You want to hear you. You've been working for years, and these Olympians, they don't just. This isn't something you wake up in the morning and 4 years later you're at the Olympics. This is like a lifelong dedication to getting to this stage. I know Canadian tennis star Brianna Andreescu pulled out, saying it just doesn't make sense with what's going on in Japan right now. Didn't want to play for Team Canada. Unfortunately, she's an incredible talent, winning the U.S. Open last year against a hobbled Serena, but still winning. It might have been the year before. But what do you think about the no participants here?
I mean, at this point with what's going on in that country, it's not even about sports anymore. Get it that you've got all your volunteers in place and you've sunk all the money in there, but by you basically saying that no one is going to watch, you've played yourself, because now you're not going to make the money that is required to pay off the debt that the Olympic Games will cause you. And these games, as much as they are an honor to host, if you are not infrastructurally sound, these games will bankrupt you. They will destroy your government. They will destroy all of the work you've done to build up your coffers. So what you've done is you've eliminated ticket sales in these massive arenas that you were expected to get, 5,000 yuan for it and all this crazy coin coming in, and you're not getting it. There's no one from Canada flying there that's a fan. There's no European fans flying there. There's no fans from Africa flying there. There's no fans from South America flying. The hotel industry, the food industry,
sales,
everything is being destroyed by this. What you should have done is you should not have gone ahead with them. Because what you do now is you look at all the European countries who just came out of Euro, Netherlands, France, Spain, Italy. They are rampant with COVID, this new wave now. 20,000, 30,000 cases a day. So you got to learn from that. And I don't understand why they're not pushing the vax as hard as they should be, because obviously it's worked in Canada. It's worked to a smaller extent in the US. But I think with this, it's great to have the athletes vaccinated to attend, but vaccinate the people so that they can watch and spend money on this stuff. Because, I mean, it kind of sucks. It's going to make you feel like you're in junior school with no one at your track meet, because there's going to be nobody there cheering you on.
And the reality is, even for people who are viewing these events, right? I mean, it's just
you don't hear anyone.
Same feel, yeah. You're not going to hear anything. There's no, you have someone called up to do whatever it is. You hear this eruption from the crowd, right? You hear that. I imagine they'll probably simulate some of this stuff to try to keep ratings up. I imagine advertising space is going to be more expensive on the Olympics than it probably normally would be to try to make up for that. But it's going to be a tough pill to swallow, because they're guaranteed pretty much to take a big loss on this.
Huge, like 80 to 90% loss on this already.
Yeah. I mean, they're at a loss just starting, just from all the buildings and stuff they gotta generate, right, and build. Yeah, it's a tough one. Okay, Space Jam, LeBron's James. So Space Jam, A New Legacy, is releasing on July 16th, which is Friday. Okay, starring LeBron James and, of course, the Toon Squad, etc. He's also getting a Fortnite skin or multiple skins within Fortnite. I imagine it'll be sold as a pack, which drops tomorrow, July 14th. I don't know if you saw this, and if you guys like shoes, join us for the Lace Up the last Tuesday of every month, where we pick 10 shoes that you might want to pick up, and we do a Pooch of the Month as well. But there was a wicked pack. There's a lot of really cool gear coming out of Space Jam and this new Legacy movie. I don't know if you had an opportunity to see that shoe pack that came out kind of in like a Space Jam locker.
Yeah, I saw it briefly, very briefly.
And then there's the shoes right there.
Yeah. So one of them is the Roadrunner, and the other is supposed to be Wile E. Coyote.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
kind
not
of
a big
cool.
fan of LeBron's, you know that, but
no, can't stand him. But I mean, I guess he needs a Fortnite skin. I mean, he's the king, right? The king's got to have a Fortnite skin. He's got to have toys, which I saw a video of Chris Bosh already playing with.
I got a few of them already from a couple of trips to McDonald's with the Happy Meals. They got them going now.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's where they're coming from. Okay.
Yeah, a lot of them are just coming out of Happy Meals, to the point where I was at McDonald's and some grown man came in there like, hey, do you have the Wile E. Coyote? I need that one. That's the last one I need. It's like a week after they open. He's just driving around, because typically at McDonald's you get different toys at different locations, right?
Yeah, exactly. Guy's just hammering Happy Meals to find the toys.
Yeah, he's just killing them.
Yeah, not much I can really say about LeBron James and his commercial ventures.
Yeah, well,
other than there's a lot of them.
You got to appreciate the guy has a great team around him that's able to generate a lot of income.
For sure.
So Space Jam out this Friday. If you're interested, definitely take a watch.
Just stay away from your kids' games.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I guess that's it really for LeBron and the rest of the folks here. Any other final thoughts here for the cast, Junior, before we sign off?
No, but check out Cardboard next week. Again, Adam said that we've got some news dropping, so we will love the opportunity.
I got picked up one of these to open.
Oh, nice. We'll have some more stuff that we're going to crack open, and John O'Ware will be there as well. We'll be talking shop. We've got some interesting topics to talk about, some interesting packs of cards to break open, and hopefully that news comes out and gets everyone excited. Fingers crossed. We ask if you want to help grow our channel, the easiest way to do that is to hit the like button. Of course, subscriptions are very, very muchly appreciated. So please smash that subscribe button. Let someone else know about our content and what we put out. We're entering somewhat of a slow season because a lot of things are kind of wrapping up, including NBA coming up soon. So unfortunately, won't be a whole bunch of previews on the sports things, but we got some interesting evergreen content coming to you very, very shortly that will live forever and kind of tell a bit more of a story. That will videos that you can continue to watch over and over again. So that's it. Yeah. I want to thank everybody for joining. Hit that comments below and let us know what you think. We want to thank you for watching. Your time and attention is very, very muchly appreciated. Join us on Instagram at Offside and Out of Bounds. I'm Adam. I'm Junior. See ya real soon.